Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Allison Sepanera, and Taylor is out this week. Thanksgiving week is a crazy week, and she's just got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I wanted to come on and give you guys a brand new episode with just me, myself, and I. So hello. And as you can notice, if you're watching on YouTube, I switched up my background a little bit because I'm going to show you in a second. See a little Christmas decoration here. In my little cute little condo that I have to switch up different pieces of furniture for when I decorate. So fun. Maybe you guys do that too. I don't know. So let me show you. This is the corner. Hold on. This is the corner where I usually have my chair right there. And like in the background, usually it's like my anxiety healers guide stuff. So I put my tree there and that's my TV. Doesn't that look cute and festive, you guys? I'm pretty proud of myself this year when it comes to my Christmas decorations. I went to Marshall's and had so much fun. You can get so many good things at like TJ Maxx, Marshall's, Home Goods and stuff. And I don't know, you can make your house a home no matter what size, who's in it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at now in my life. And that's what helps with my anxiety around my house too and makes my space feel safe to me. So hopefully you guys are doing that for you too. But I wanted to come on. I know it's not going to be like too much long of an episode, but just to kind of get you into a more regulated state as the holidays begin, as Thanksgiving comes upon us, and what really can get your brain into a space where you feel regulated and where you just really feel like you can be your best self. And at the same time, set your boundaries and give yourself permission to say no and create traditions for yourself and find some peace during these next couple weeks when maybe it isn't peaceful for everybody, especially if you're going through some type of like grief process or if if you just have some social anxiety around holidays or you have some family dysfunction that could definitely be triggering. Whatever it is, hopefully, we'll be talking more about this the next couple of weeks when it comes to closer to like the longer holiday break. But since it's before Thanksgiving, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the end of the year and how I don't know if you guys have the same type of anxiety when it comes to the end of the year. But I start thinking as November comes upon, I start getting anxiety and start thinking about this like end of the year countdown. I start thinking a lot about what are the things that I've accomplished? What are the things that I mostly think about the things that I haven't accomplished because of course that's what stays in my brain. I constantly kind of just say to myself, wow, here I am another year and I'm still single, or this is just my life. I'm still single and nothing really has moved forward, and this has happened and this has happened for these people. And I'm still kind of doing this. And I just am so hard on myself about staying stagnant and seeing everybody kind of reaching these goals or these milestones in life. And I just feel I am stuck. And that's been a lot of my life. And so this time of year, for some reason, is always so much harder for me, especially as someone who's single and doesn't have children. So it's always been a little lonelier time for me. It's always been a time where I get a lot more anxious and depressed and sort of isolate myself a little bit. Not because it's just colder but there's a lot of families and a lot of people I know in my life that have a lot of events, have a lot of holiday things going on. There's a lot of different Christmas fairs and holiday expos going on and a lot of families taking their kids there. And I do go to some of these on my own, but it kind of makes the fact that I am where I am in my life a little bit more clear to me and apparent to me in not a good way. And it's not healthy either, which is why I'm going to be talking about this episode, because the anxiety I get at the end of the year is just a little different than the anxiety I get throughout the other months, And so I want to talk a little bit more about this anxiety around the end of the year countdown. Okay. And I really want to talk a little bit about the psychological impact, right? So there actually is a psychological impact when it comes to the calendar year reset, right? Why does the end of the year feel like an emotional deadline? There's pressures of framing success and framing failure based on this 12 months, right? There's some societal norms that are, January, what are your January goals? Time to start fresh in January. Like all of these things that are kind of going through your mind about what are your goals? What are your goals? And all of this. Okay. Those are good to have, by the way. I'm very much an advocate of goals in general. But sometimes putting the pressure on yourself is just an unnecessary pressure, right? When it comes to this exact being so rigid about it's the end of the year, I have to do this. The other thing is, when it comes to this anxiety about the end of the year, there's sort of like this reflection overload. You know what I mean? So when you look back at the year and it just feels really heavy, it could feel really heavy when you reflect on it. Right? The anxiety of reflecting on the year's accomplishments or your perceived failures. There's, sometimes it's hard to do this, but it can be really helpful to learn how to reframe that kind of reflection and focus on progress over perfection, right? What's like the progress you've made and you've seen over, my gosh, I didn't do this perfect, or I said I would do this exactly how it went and I didn't, right? And let me just tell you also, when we look into this, when looking back feels really heavy and we have this reflection overload, the emotional impact of scrolling through other people's year in review social media posts is real. I mean, it's real. I mean, is anyone starting to see them yet? We still have like 5 weeks left of the year, and there's already year in review. Oh my gosh, here's what happened to me in social media. I mean, we talk about doom scrolling in a past episode. And while there's amazing things about social media, as we say all the time, like my page, this podcast, Taylor, and all the other mental health pages, so many wonderful things. You also have to be really careful and set your boundaries with during this specific time of year. I would say for sure this time of year to set more and more boundaries over on social media, 100%. So that's kind of something to think about too, right? This like overload of like reflecting on the years. Okay. Something else that can cause some anxiety about the end of the year is this last minute goal trap, right? There's this kind of like urge to finish strong. Oh my God, I got to do this before the end of the year. Well, what about this before the end of the year? I said I would do this. And you have this like urge to finish strong. You know what I mean? I got to finish this year strong. And honestly, that really leads to burnout. So much burnout. Again, it's about progress, not perfection. So something that might be helpful is, identifying realistic goals for the remainder of the year versus what can wait for next year. Right? So what are some realistic goals that you can come up with for the next couple of weeks? Realistic goals, right? And what things could maybe wait till next year? It's okay to do that, right? It's really okay to do that. And the one way to really help yourself do that more is to let go of the shoulds. All right. Embrace your enoughness. I am enough the way that I am right now. I have made progress in this and this and this, and I might have wanted it to be 90% progress back in January, but it's like 40%. And that's something, right? So letting go of shoulds. I am enough. Okay. So something else that creates some anxiety when it comes to the end of the year, comparing yourself to ideal year-end versions. Okay. So it's basically the anxiety of not living up to societal milestones. So like career achievements or relationship goals, or personal growth. Right? So really, when you think of these societal milestones, what rings into my head right away is ding, 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 the social media aspect again, right? All these people are putting in their milestones, achievements, relationships, personal growth. This is all the stuff. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this all happened this year. And, really, it's important to start realizing how to stop comparing your reality to others. Any of their highlight reels, again, setting boundaries with social media, and learning how to really stop comparing your reality with other people's reality, because there's probably so many amazing things going on in your reality that other people would love to embark on, right? Or set goals for themselves. So for whatever, you want to accomplish, or you've kind of set goals for yourself, I want you to try and remind yourself that that's a goal for you. and that it's okay if it's not necessarily done in the perfect way, and that other people around you are maybe achieving some of the goals that you wanted to achieve and didn't really move to that far ahead yet, and someone else is there. Okay, that's okay. Really, the comparison needs to stop for sure. And something that can help with that is really becoming a lot more compassionate with your inner critic. That inner critic's going to be there during this time. And being able to really find a compassionate voice for yourself and talk to yourself in a loving way and giving yourself grace, that's going to help that inner critic and that comparison voice for sure. Okay, so something else that creates a little bit of anxiety or a lot of anxiety during the end of the year. So navigating holiday and family stress during this whole countdown, right? Yeah. I'm sure that most of you listening can think of at least, that one family member or the type of dynamic that you have with someone around you that creates stress for you. That's maybe triggering for you, or your anxiety. That isn't like a safe person for you, right? But it's hard for you to know how to avoid those situations sometimes, right? If it's like a tradition and you do it all the time, it's hard to know how can I make it through this? So really, this is about how family dynamics and holiday obligations can really heighten the pressure of also this reflection of the year end, right? Sometimes, going to certain events over the holidays and you're getting all of these questions about your life. And what are you doing with this? What are you doing with this? People love to ask, like, what's next? What's next? Oh my gosh. Oh, you're finishing college. Where did you get a job? Are you dating anyone? Oh, when do you getting married? Oh, you got married. When are you going to have a kid? Oh my gosh, you had your first kid. When are you going to have your next kid? I mean, it's like people can't stop with just wanting to know what's coming next, which I don't understand. I'm like, you know what? How are you doing today? This is how I talk to a lot of people in my life. How are you feeling today? What are you up to today? Today. So how you can help yourself through this is by ding ding again, setting boundaries, right? So setting boundaries around family expectations, trying to manage your anxiety the way that you know how with whatever toolkit you have. Hopefully you have some good tools, but also including setting boundaries around this definitely 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. So family is going to have expectations. It's okay for you to set boundaries around them. It's okay for you to start your own traditions. It's okay to stay for 2 hours instead of 5 hours. It's okay to go a little bit later if you want to. It's okay. Give yourself permission to do it. Okay. Another reason why this time of year, sparks some anxiety about the end of the year anxiety is, which you guys will probably think, yes, I have had this. I don't really have this as much anymore. And as you get older, maybe it's not as much pressure, but there's a lot of people do put pressure on themselves for planning for the new year and planning for, what you're gonna do for either New Year's, like New Year's Eve or something, right? That's already, oh my gosh, should I be doing something? Everyone's doing these things. Okay, no. Okay, no. Really, really, it's gonna be what you want to do. I mean, honestly, when it comes to making plans for the holidays and like New Year's Eve and stuff like that, honestly, do what you want. Do what you want. Do what you feel like doing. And if you make plans for New Year's Eve and it's December like 30th and you want to change your mind, you can change your mind. You do not have to do anything you don't want to do. My favorite thing the last couple of years, I literally just watch Anderson Cooper and I hang out, and sometimes I've gone to bed around like 11 and you would stay up. So try and give yourself a little bit of grace and not put the pressure on for like New Year's Eve. And also planning with after New Year's Eve, right? Sometimes there's a lot of added pressure for, balancing the excitement of the new year with realistic goal setting, right? New year, new me. How many times do you hear that? Sometimes it gets a little cloudy because, there is excitement to that and it's like new beginnings. And I love that mindset. But realistically, you really want to create goals that are realistic, right? I'm gonna use that word twice. You want to create goals that seem measurable, seem doable for you. And, maybe you want to create more of a flexible or anxiety-friendly approach to resolutions, right? So trying to break free from that all or nothing thinking about these New Year goals. Okay, I have to do this or I'm a failure, right? Break free from that all or nothing thinking. This is a lot of creating that cognitive restructuring that I talk about a lot, right? And the more that you tell yourself and you're kind to yourself and you talk to yourself in a way that makes progress, not perfection, and you talk to yourself in a kind, loving way, and a rational way, maybe using your logical brain, you can really break free from that all or nothing thinking. Okay. Another part of anxiety when it comes to the end of the year is this notion that December 31st, like that exact day, is this hard deadline. December 31st, oh my gosh, this hard deadline. And that somehow makes you, that rigidness is connected to your self-worth. Right? So if I don't do this by this specific December 31st deadline, then do I have worth? Am I worthy? Like, I don't know. Right? So it's important to try and rewrite the narrative around that specific date, right? December 31st. I mean, think about it, right? December 31st is really just like an arbitrary date. It's February 15th. Oh, well, wait. No, that's the day after Valentine's Day. Like April 6th. I'm just thinking it's such an arbitrary date, right? In our mind, psychologically, oh my gosh, it's New Year's Eve, but it's very arbitrary, right? So maybe we focus more on the seasons of life instead of one date, right? Like it's a season and the seasons of life go in and out in waves. And something that can really help through this to rewriting the narrative of that December 31st is kind of cultivating gratitude for what did go well this year, no matter how small it is or how unimportant you think it is, right? Cultivate that gratitude for what really did go well this year. And try and think about those things for sure. Okay. So another reason for some anxiety, end of the year anxiety, right? Like, listen, I said this before, the pressures of celebration. I said this about like New Year's Eve. But I think for starting in Thanksgiving, even like Halloween, there's this pressure for celebration, right? There's these social and these emotional expectations tied to Thanksgiving and Halloween and New Year's Eve, specifically, totally New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, Hanukkah. I mean, all different types of beliefs, right? Kwanzaa, all of the other types of celebrations that are tied to this time of year. There's a lot of social and emotional expectations. And there's a lot of pressure to have this celebration type of, personality at this point. But I think what people don't really realize is that there are a lot of people that are grieving. There's a lot of people that are actually, while some people are grieving the loss of someone, there's a lot of people that are grieving that someone is still here and that is sick or that, isn't able to celebrate in the way that they used to. And so I want to just give, honor those people who are, around a lot of this celebration and around this, love and amazing, but really, really going through difficult times because it can feel really, really lonely and I'm not saying lonely without other people. It can be lonely even when you're with people because it can feel like, wow, the rest of the world is experiencing so much, joy and just like excitement about this time of year. And I'm feeling really sad and I'm feeling really scared for someone and just feeling anxious about the unknown, right? So try and think of alternative ways to celebrate that, feel aligned with your values and your mental health. Alternative ways to give yourself grace and recognize that, again, boundaries, you don't have to go somewhere you don't want to, right? Take care of yourself. Maybe it's, relaxing with one person for a couple of days and cooking a meal or just spending time with someone, and that's okay. So that can be really helpful, right? When there's all this pressure of celebration. So I want to talk about two different kind of tools that you can use that can really help you move through this time of year and this end of the year anxiety, so to speak. Okay. So I always talk about a healing toolkit, and I want you to build an end of the year toolkit. Okay. I want you to think of the coping strategies for this emotional overwhelm you have of this countdown, right? Think about what I just talked about, and what is it that really creates that anxiety for you. I want you to think of the coping strategies that work best for you, right? What are the grounding strategies you have? What's the support system you have? What are some meditations or visualizations you have? What helps you regulate your nervous system and soothe you? What kind of cognitive tools do you have to use, right? Get clear of your toolkit and really utilize it more this time of year, okay? Incorporate some mindfulness practices such as journaling or gratitude exercises. They're going to be huge. Maybe you do them sporadically throughout the year, but in the next 5 weeks, that's a daily practice for you, right? That's what you need these next 5 weeks. Okay. And lean on your grounding techniques. When anxiety spikes and, is maybe getting higher and higher as the final days of the year approach, lean on those grounding techniques. Okay. Lean into that toolkit. Really lean into what soothes you and what helps you. And that is all that you really need to pay attention to. Okay. And then this last piece of how to help with this end of the year anxiety is approaching the new year with self-compassion. I think I probably said this already a couple times today, but I know I've said giving yourself grace. Self-compassion is going to be huge. Huge. Practicing self-forgiveness, right? Some self-forgiveness for unmet goals or unmet resolutions. It's okay. It does not mean that you're a failure, right? I'm going to work on it next year. And here's maybe how I'm going to try and do it a little differently as best as I can, because guess what? We can't predict the future. So we have no idea what kind of adversities are going to come into our life next year, right? So practice self-forgiveness. And then I want to really advise you to shift the focus, right, from fixing yourself to nurturing self-growth. So make it less about like, I need to be fixed. I need to be changed. It's something I need to do in order to move things along. And while that might be true, right, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to fix yourself, because you are enough just as you are. You are enough just as you are right now. But maybe you want to nurture yourself, right? And have some self-growth and just keep nurturing this self-growth. And maybe it's a lifelong journey. I know it is for me. I continuously say to myself, I'm always growing and always evolving as a human. I'm always going to be learning about myself and learning about other people. And that's just my philosophy in life. And it really helps me because I know I'm not perfect. And it helps me forgive myself a lot easier when I do make mistakes. And when I see my old patterns come up with anxiety and relationships and other people, I forgive myself a lot easier than I used to. So really just focus less on fixing yourself. Okay. All right. Final way of how to approach the new year with self-compassion. I want you to practice embracing small, meaningful habits rather than overwhelming resolutions. Okay. So what are some meaningful habits? Maybe you want to, if you do a list of resolutions or you're used to doing something like that, ask yourself, what are really meaningful habits for you, right? So maybe for you, you really want to work on different habits throughout your day, right? That help your mental health and help your physical health. Maybe some meaningful habits for you, is moving your body is medicine, right? Movement is medicine. And it's really meaningful to me when I can actually prioritize this and make it a habit, because I know that that is healthy for my body and my brain. And it helps my sleep. These are all the benefits of it. And so I want to try and create more of this habit in the new year and make them meaningful, right? Not like all these overwhelming resolutions. Anywho, so I hope that this was good for you guys. And I hope this is going to help you get through kind of the next 5 weeks or so. This whole entire episode is basically a healing tip of the week because I gave a lot of tips in the last couple minutes. And so I really would say that the healing tip of this week really would be to just try the last one I just said to you, was try to really create meaningful habits for the new year, and try not to overwhelm yourself with so many resolutions, or try and, say, I have to do this or else I'm a failure, or I'm going to do this resolution definitely. And just think about the meaningful habits you want to create and make a list of those. And maybe you don't need to give yourself a hard stop, like a deadline date. I'm going to, go to therapy 5 times by February 2nd. That's okay. I mean, sometimes that's really good for people to have a measurable and time, what's it called? It's SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time sensitive. So yeah. So some people really thrive off of having these deadlines. So that's fine. If you want to do that and it's good, and you don't get hard on yourself when you don't meet it, right? And you don't ruminate and you're just like, it's okay, I'll get that eventually, then do it. But if you get to a point where you are so concerned about how much of a failure you are because you didn't actually achieve that goal, then you need to reset. You need a reset, and you need to say to yourself, I want to create meaningful habits. So that would be my toolkit, my healing toolkit suggestion for you, healing tip of the week, and just give yourself grace. So, okay, everyone. Well, Taylor's doesn't have the quote of the week. Let's see if I can find a good quote of the week for you guys. Okay. Just because Taylor usually gets the quote, but I feel like I can find one that's pretty good for you. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Because I want you to take this quote with you, and I want you to really work on it. And, let me see what I can do. Gosh, you guys are like, what's going on? I don't even need a quote. I don't really care. Keep it consistent, you guys. Okay. Come on. Okay. So this one, Thanksgiving, when the people who are the most thankful are the ones who didn't have to cook. Actually, it's really funny. That's just the one I saw initially. I go, I'm like, here's what I'm going to read. Okay. How about this one? When you're grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. Okay, I should read one verse. When you're grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. There you go. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Love you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving.